minutes. I left some room for in the agenda for some time to let people in.
That's fine. Not a problem.
Emmanuel, do you want to see if you could share your screen now?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me see if I can share and go to boom. And if I went to
good on my end.
Huh? You can't see it?
No, it looks good on my end.
Oh, okay.
You can see your screen.
Yeah, I can see it too, Emmanuel.
Okay, great. Now let's see if I can escape and see how to stop sharing. Stop share.
There you go.
Cool.
All right, I'll just give everyone another minute or two to get in. Emmanuel, are you ready for the career fairs next week?
Yeah, I am.
Are you guys doing both days? You're doing Tuesday and Wednesday?
Well, I think, different people are doing, because usually, if we're actually on site, we just do one day, which I thought we had only chosen one day this time, but I saw that people actually signed up for virtual interviews on both days, but I'm doing the first day, but there are several people at Hughes that's doing the second. So Hughes is doing both days. I'm only doing one day.
Yeah.
But that's a lot, because I'm doing the Go event as well as the career fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, long few days.
Yeah, I know. I have to make sure I have some throat lozenges or something. A lot of talking.
A lot of coffee.
But the nice thing about it is that you're not standing at a booth. You have to sit down, so it's better in that sense. It's not as tiring.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of talking, though.
A lot of talking, yes. 10 minutes can be a long time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we can get started. Let's see. All right, there we go. So thank you everyone for coming today. This is the first alumni conversation that we are hosting for this fall. So we have a few others coming up we're gonna do them once a month. And of course we had to have Emmanuel and his team at Hughes come on for our first one. So we are first going to start off. I'm going to introduce Emmanuel. He's going to do a short presentation, and then we're going to do an alumni panel with those who have joined us also from Hughes. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A that you can find below, and I will go through them. If you have questions during Emmanuel's presentation, feel free to drop them in too, and I'll just bring them up as we go. All right, so Emanuel Harrington from Hughes Networks Systems. So if I'm reading this correctly, you first started as a civil engineering student.
That is correct.
But then came over to electrical engineering, got your bachelor's degree in '93, and then did your master's in '95. And again, we are very excited that you all are here today, and I'm sure Emmanuel is going to tell you a little bit about himself too. So if you want to go ahead and share your screen and let us know about you and Hughes, and then we'll get to the alumni panel.
Okay. Where am I at? Let me change it to slide mode. Okay, but as Stephanie was saying, yes, I am a proud alumni of NC State. Been at Hughes for, January will be 25 years. And I, one thing I guess you may kind of see, I don't know, I guess you see the presentation. Patents are, very important here. I kind of push that with my employees, but so I have received actually 8 patents since I've been here, and a lot of patents that are still pending. But as far as Hughes, what I want to do is spend maybe about 20 minutes kind of going over Hughes technology, kind of the things that we do here, and kind of some of the opportunities that are available for those of you who are looking for certain career paths. But first of all, so we show the Hughes. We have facilities worldwide. We're a global company. Right now, our headquarters is in Germantown, Maryland. That's where I'm sitting right now. So the building that you see in the far left, the top left, is actually where where my office is. But we have offices, like I said, worldwide. We have offices in India, we have Hughes Europe, and we also have Hughes Brazil. These are just where our sales offices are, but we do have equipment sales globally. Down the street from where I am now, I'm in Germantown, but down the road in Gaithersburg, we have a world-class manufacturing facility. So we do produce products in other locations, like for instance, the satellite modem that my team works on is built at the board level, is built in Foxconn. Foxconn is a big manufacturer. They're the one who builds iPhones. If you are familiar with Apple iPhones, I'm sure you are. But at the chassis level, before we ship them out to customers, the chassis are built in our Shady Grove facility down the street. So we are a world leading provider of satellite services and technology. The products that my group works on, we build for consumer, SMB is small, medium businesses, enterprise, mobile satellite, and government, as I mentioned earlier. So Hughes Americas has over 400 gigabits of capacity. We're talking about our satellites. So we operate with carriers over 1 gigabits per second. So we have gateways that cover North America and South America. We ship gateways globally, but the ones that we kind of, our sales team is in North and South America. So Jupiter is our latest technology. So we own a couple of satellites that's over North America now. It's called, the code name that we use internally are called Jupiter 1 and Jupiter 2, and they are Ka-band satellites. So usually the satellites kind of globally, they're either Ku band, Ka-band, or C-band. That's just the air frequency. But the satellites that we own are Ka-band satellites. We have, like I said, they're called EchoStar 17, EchoStar 19, and we're currently working on I think EchoStar 24 is the one that we'll be launching next year. So this kind of indicates what I just said. So Spaceway 3 is a satellite that is still up in the air, but we're kind of migrating from that to our Jupiter technology. So the Jupiter 1, Jupiter 2, they're in orbit now, and Jupiter 3, we plan to launch next year. And if you see at the capacity of the satellites, you see that the Jupiter 3 satellite is really more than all of the other satellites combined. It's our future satellite technology. So this kind of just shows you the coverage, the beam coverage of the satellites, where you see the EchoStar 17, which is in existence. We also have some coverage in like Brazil, South America, where we have Hughes 63 West. And then if you see kind of like combine all the satellites in North and South America, it just kind of shows you our coverage. Now, when you see some green, like in South America, there are some places that you don't have a strong concentration of population. You may have, like the Amazon or, kind of jungle, places where you don't have a whole lot of people living. So we don't necessarily have satellite coverage in those areas, but we pretty well cover North and South America. Our consumer business, that's really our bread and butter. We have well over 1 million active users for our Jupiter consumer business. And HughesNet, which is the name of our service, we lead the world in satellite broadband. So we were ranked #1 by the FCC in delivering the advertised speed, meaning that we do what we say we do. We deliver to the customers what we tell them, that the satellite download and upload speed that we say that we will deliver. So this just kind of shows some of the customers, some of the markets that we're in, where we try to, like in North America, we kind of spoil in the sense that we have, Fios, we have, Comcast or or Roadrunner, Time Warner, Roadrunner, or we have, landline service where a lot of places in the world, they don't have that. But we address the digital divide. We're in the international space for, cellular backhaul. We do on the move for like Humvees, or it could be for yachts, or any type of or aeronautical for like Southwest. If any of you have ever flown on a Southwest airplane and used the internet service, is really our modem that's in the hull of the plane that you're actually communicating over the internet with. And we also have a government division within the company that we call our DISD. Oops. So we have more than 5 million satellite terminals shipped globally. So I was concentrating on North and South America, and I mentioned earlier, we have kind of 4 sales offices globally, but we have equipment sales, both the gateway and the satellite terminals all over the world. And this kind of shows you some of these satellites that we interface with. So even though we only own a few satellites, which are over North America, the products that we develop can interface with any satellite, what is called bent pipe satellite. We can interface with a KU, KA, or C-band globally. It just kind of shows you some of the satellites that we actually interface to. And we also have what's called a mobile satellite system. And so this is our main office here in Germantown, Maryland. We also have an office out in San Diego in California. And the engineering team out there, they specialize in mobile handheld satellite terminals. And this kind of just shows you some of the devices that's been developed by our West Coast team over the years. Now, I don't know if people have heard of Oneweb. Oneweb is an endeavor to try to provide internet service globally to the underserved people, and it could be Africa or India or wherever. So a lot of people can't afford to buy a satellite terminal and pay the monthly fees. But the Oneweb endeavor is to try to provide internet service to those who currently don't have it. So Hughes, we're actually involved in the Oneweb development for the gateways, as well as involved in what's called the UT, or the user terminal, for the Oneweb endeavor. And HTS means high throughput satellite. So SD-WAN is something that we provide for our enterprise customers. And the biggest thing with that is the quality of service, the QoS, that we provide for our enterprise product line. And Hughes is, we stress, the trusted industry partner. I mentioned Oneweb before. LEO is low Earth orbit satellite. So you have LEO, MEO, and what's the one that we currently use? MEO is medium Earth orbit, LEO, low Earth orbit, and
GEO,
thank you. Yeah, brain fried. But yeah, so our Jupiter system is on GEO, but Oneweb is a LEO satellite orbit, and I mentioned before our mobile sat. So there's some of the customers, or our partners, I should say, for our mobile satellite development. And our major Jupiter system customers, you see there, like Intelsat, Turksat, and the list continues to grow. So I've kind of given you a kind of a intro to some of our business partners and our customers. But as a student at NC State, what opportunities do we have? So I work in hardware engineering, and some of the people that you'll meet in the panel later, they're also in the hardware development group. But at Hughes, what we look for is the engineers here, they hold advanced degrees in electrical, computer engineering, typically specializing in mathematics, information theory, signal processing, and RF, of course. And the development is functionally partitioned into electrical, DSP, digital signal processing. And we also have mechanical engineering here at Hughes. That's not a huge group that we have, but it's an important group because we do rack designs, thermal analysis, flow therm. So mechanical is important, but most of the engineers that we hire are either software engineers, electrical and computer engineering. So here are some of the technology areas in hardware engineering for like our RF engineers. They're going to deal with microwave frequencies. We have high-speed digital, which a lot of people on my team, they work in that space. Digital signal processing. We have an ASIC group here at Hughes, and then we have mechanical that work with the backplanes, and like I said before, doing industrial design and thermal analysis, things like that. We also have a lot of tools for automated design for our ECAD, MCAD. We like our VLSI group for our ASIC development, and also in our analog RF development team. So Jupiter, I mentioned Jupiter a little earlier. That's really our current, high throughput satellite system. And we have our VLSI team here. They're kind of like the brains of the board. It's the central, the nucleus. And so that's why we value the technology. So we do get IP from other vendors, but we have our special sauce that goes into our ASICs here. So when we launch our satellite for what we call Jupiter 3, we have a Jupiter 3 ASIC that's currently being qualified. But what's shown here is our what we call SOC2 which is our Jupiter 2 ASIC. But for Jupiter 1, Jupiter 2, and Jupiter 3, we have a custom ASIC that's at the heart of our terminal design. And the latest product that we've launched, which was our Jupiter 2, this is we call our HT2000W terminal. So that has our kind of high throughput modem technology, but also has integrated Wi-Fi inside this terminal. So just kind of, there's a lot of interesting things that we do here, but Wi-Fi is actually a big addition to our consumer terminals. And what I included here, let me see if I can play this. This is just a demo of from our Jupiter 2, our HT2000W. I think on the left here is just the upload speed, and on the right is the download speed. Just kind of give you an idea of the performance of our product. Cellular backhaul. So we have our enterprise terminal for our Jupiter 2 called HT2500. We do provide that for cellular backhaul customers that need that, and it's driven by 4G and 5G. It offers cellular service for those who don't necessarily have cell towers in their area. And I mentioned Southwest earlier. So we do have one of the big developments that we have is Aero. So we do develop aeronautical modems that go in the cabin bay of aircraft. So kind of what's shown here is, it goes kind of like where you see the front of the plane where the pilot is. But we do have that for our legacy as well as our Jupiter 2. We have a aeronautical design, and we're currently working on that for our next generation Jupiter 3. And this kind of shows you where different things are located in the airplane as far as the Wi-Fi access points and the external antennas, as well as where our product, the Jupiter Modman, goes in the front of the plane. And this just kind of shows some of the business partners that we have on Aero. Is certainly in Americas, like Southwest, but we also have partners in other parts of the world. Now on the move, Humvees, we do, so I talked about yachts and airplanes, but also especially for like military, we support putting our satellite products and other mobile vehicles like you see here, like I said, the Humvee. So at Hughes, we do for electrical graduates. I know they typically, like at NC State, you don't have a curriculum for ECAD or MCAD, but we have had people who have graduated with a BS in EE and have joined Hughes and to work in our ECAD group. There's our engineering services. So we do use Cadence, have used Mentor in the past, but we design, do schematic capture, our R&D engineers, and we work with our ECAD group to lay out our boards. We're kind of a full shop here where we'll go from requirements to doing the schematic to actually sitting with our ECAD team to lay out the board, and we'll send the boards out to be fabricated, and down the street in Shady Grove, the boards get built. So it's like a complete turnkey development cycle here at Hughes. And this just kind of shows you the layout of, it's kind of like a rat's nest when you first finish a schematic and bring up a board, and it shows a completed product. Now our ASIC group, this just shows you some of our design capabilities. I'm not showing you our latest ASICs, but this is just some of the ASICs that we have developed at Hughes in the past, from Spaceway all the way up to Spaceway, Directway, and all the way up to Jupiter. So a big part of our company is analog RF. That's both the indoor unit, what we call the terminal, as well as we design radios. And what you see down at our legacy Directway, where we have waveguides and antennas that we're also involved in that development as well. And this just shows an example of a legacy radio where you have power amplifiers and and phase lock loops and things of that nature. So we have some very smart people here that, like I said, the radios that all radios that are used in our VSAT systems are developed internally at Hughes. And just I'll kind of end with some kind of marketing information. So like I said before, just reiterating that, we provide high-speed internet for consumers, as well as, enterprise, our businesses, for government, and we also have mobile communications. We have proven lives through the power of connection. So this kind of shows you some of the things that I mentioned earlier as far as digital, analog, and RF circuit design that we do here. We certainly have a VLSI group that does ASIC development. We have software team, and a core part of our products is our digital signal processing group as well. So Hughes, we are reinventing the world of satellite communications. So this just kind of shows you some of the disciplines that we look for, as I mentioned earlier, from electrical to mechanical, computer science, embedded software, network engineering, and information technology. So engineers that we hire at Hughes, we hire for R&D, and we also have engineers that work in our business group. Just because you have an option of working in engineering or on that, because you have field support and debug and things like that on the business group side. So H&S, changing the world. So a while ago, so 2 years ago, actually, we were ranked in the top 10 in Fortune magazine for companies that are changing the world. So at the very bottom there, you'll see Hughes Network Systems. But anyway, so Fortune magazine did recognize us as making a difference in our global space. So lastly, Hughes technology. Here at Hughes, the opportunities are boundless, and we're changing the way the world lives. Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Emanuel.
Oh, you are so welcome.
So I have the Q&A open. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in there. But we can go ahead and start the alumni panel while we wait for some questions, specifically for Emanuel and his presentation, or for the alumni. So if you all just want to go around and introduce yourself really quick, you graduated, and what you do now at Hughes, and then we can get into some of the questions. Rohit, do you want to start? You're just next on my screen, so.
Yeah, sure, Stephanie. Hello, everyone. My name is Rohit Shannoy. I am a graduate from NC State ECE. I graduated with a master's in computer engineering back in May of 2014, and I've been working at Hughes since graduation. At Hughes, I work in the gateway modem team, and in our team, we work a lot on implementing the gateway modems for use in the gateways. And in our group, we do a lot of work with modems, which includes the encoders, encoding, decoding, and a lot of DSPs work is involved, as well as a lot of RTL based development on FPGAs. Thank you.
Also, I just need to point out your background. If you can send that to me, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll just send it to you in the chat.
That is a great background, the office. Okay, Rasha, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Rasha Wahab, and I graduated from NC State with a bachelor's in electrical engineering May of 2018, which seems like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. And I've been working at Hughes since then. I work on Emanuel's team on the high-speed digital PCB design on the IDUs that are the indoor units. Interesting.
And you were an intern first, right?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. So I started full-time May 2018, but the summer before I graduated, I interned on Emanuel's team and had a lot of fun and learned a lot and came back to work full-time. So yeah, Hughes has been great. I've learned a lot, and yeah, everyone should come talk to us at the career fair. And we'll definitely see if we can find a good fit for you.
All right, last but not least. Oh, sorry, I thought a question came in. Anishwar?
Yeah, hey everyone. So I graduated from NC State Masters in Electrical Engineering in December 2013. So I've been here since then. I work on the VLSI team. As Emmanuel was saying, we have our custom ASICs on the IDUs. So I work on the team which develops that. So this is one of the few places I've seen where you get to learn from end to end of the ASIC design. So you get to set your requirements, you get to build the architecture, code, verify, get the prototype back, and then also put it on the board and kind of see how your design has actually fared on silicon. So it's a very exciting opportunity, and I guess, yeah, hope to see you guys soon.
It's a great reward because certainly Anish is involved in our latest ASIC design that we're kind of currently qualifying. And it's kind of like a roller coaster, where, things don't seem to work, but when you actually finally get it to work,
Yeah.
what's your famous words, Anish? Time to party.
I swear. When you've been working on something for weeks and then you finally figure it out, there's no better reward.
I know, it's a great risk reward combination.
Awesome. So just to get into some questions, were any of you involved in any student organizations when you were an ECE student? And if so, any benefits? No?
I guess Rohit should go ahead. I was, but whoever wants to go first.
Anish, I was involved in a student organization, but it was more like the Indian Grad Student Associations, and I don't think that's too relevant to this conversation.
No, absolutely. If it was beneficial to you, anything. It didn't have to be ECE related. Sorry, I should have been more specific. But yeah, if you guys want to talk about your experiences with different student organizations, that'd be great.
Well, as such, I was only a part of one student organization. It is called Maitri. All the NCC students would know it as the Indian Grad Student Organization. And as part of this group, we have our main reason was to connect with all the Indian graduate students coming from India, connect them with people who would be able to host them temporarily, take care of their airport pickups, and just be there for them for any kind for any kind of help, which could be academic or non-academic, and most of the time it would be like non-academic. And through that, we got to know about a lot of the people coming in, and we got to interact with a lot of different people at NCSU as well, who would help us in making a lot of the new students feel welcome.
Awesome. Rasha, you said you were involved?
Yeah. So I was kind of involved in there's 3 organizations that I was kind of part of the 4 years that I was at NC State. One was kind of just like non-academic, that was Muslim Student Association. So that was just kind of for Muslim students to connect and, have events. But we also had networking through that. So even if it's like a student organization that's not really academic, it can also have benefits to your career because you can network through those organizations. And then another one that I was involved in was the Society of Women Engineers, and that really, I would say, helped with the networking prospects, because they have their own career fair. That is, I think well, I don't know if it's only limited to people that are in the organization, but I know that you get some benefits if you're like part of the Society of Women Engineers. I think you get early entry to the career fair, or you get your resume sent out to the recruiters in advance. So that was really, really helpful. And then I was also on the University Scholars Program, which was also academic, though they didn't do much career building stuff, but it was mostly to give you like a good, well-rounded experience of a lot of like, I guess, interdisciplinary things that were happening on campus. So they would take us to see ballets and like plays. And it was just, I thought it kind of really helped me develop and, have like an all-rounded experience at NC State and not just be limited to the ECE department, really. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So build connections and networking. Yeah. Awesome. So any specific experiences at NC State, specifically ECE, if you have one, that helped you to find your positions after graduation? So career fairs or things like this where you met with, in person at the time, where you met with companies and things like that. Does anyone have any specifics that come to mind?
Well, the career fair for starters, right? Like that's where, you would go to look for opportunities. But I know a lot of companies also kind of have booths that are set up in the engineer EB2. And that's where I met Emanuel, who's now my boss. So I would say like go to everything really and look on EPAC. There's always events. Sometimes they're not even like recruiting events. Sometimes they're just like, hey, we're doing like a pizza party, and there's like companies that bring pizza and like talk about like opportunities. And it doesn't have to be something that's like specifically networking or like recruiting. It just could be something fun, and you would, you'd still be able to network through that.
Yeah, I was just gonna add to that. Like, that's one thing we never missed was any company giving you free pizza. You're always there, right? But that's also like you get to meet a lot of people and network there. It's very important for you. You never know where you're gonna get your next opportunity. So any company that shows up there, it's always good to go see and talk. And even if you don't have a relevant position, try to see what the market is, what kind of positions are out there, what companies are looking for. It's always helpful.
It's funny you say that, because that's actually how I ended up at Hughes, because I was sitting in my apartment on Cardinal Gibbons, I think Mission Valley Apartments or something like that. And I got a call from our HR Hughes. I guess people on the line, you probably know Lynn Rusnick, but she called and said that they were going to be in Daniels Hall the next day. And I said, free pizza and soda, sure, I'll be there. And I had never heard of Hughes Network Systems. And at the time I was in my master's degree, kind of specialized in wireless communications. And actually Hughes kind of introduced me to, all the technology that they were doing. I was like, wow, you guys do all that? So I interviewed with them in Pullen Hall the next day. And then, I was on a flight to Maryland to interview on site. But, kind of like just reiterating what Manish and Rasha has indicated is that, yeah, so, go to, info sessions, get your free pizza if they offer, free pizza. But, yeah, a lot of times you kind of go for the Ciscos or the Red Hats or, the IBMs. But there are a lot of companies out there like Hughes that they have technology that you never heard of them, but they're kind of behind the scenes doing a lot of wonderful things that, you probably would be interested in. So yeah, go to info sessions.
Awesome. So I have a few questions that came through specifically about Hughes, but I want to get through some more not Hughes related. I want to talk about transitioning from student to your full-time job. So were there any adjustments that you found after graduation that you found challenging that when you were a student, you would have never even thought it would be a challenge? That could be like work-life balance or an incident maybe that you just didn't think, a difficult conversation you had to have at work that you just didn't think you'd have to run into. Anything come to mind?
I would say a lot of even just doing your day-to-day job, the level at which you are taught in your courses. You take a few courses, just do your project, and when you're starting to collaborate and see big picture stuff, and you have like 10 people on your team who are like vastly experienced. Right here at Hughes, we have like a few people who will be here at least 20 plus years. So you have like a ton of experience here. And then when you talk to them, you know the disconnect right there. It takes you some time to get used to. And I feel the first few years you shouldn't get like, disheartened that, oh shit, what are they talking about? I know my first year, almost all my meetings, I had no clue what was going on. I would just sit in those meetings and nod my head. Right? You don't really understand the complexity of the design. And then I guess that's a big step you need to take, is have patience when you switch from your student life. When you step in, you'll learn slowly.
I mean, I 100% agree with what Anish said, but I think one thing that was kind of challenging for me was, or something that I kind of didn't anticipate would be the case, was working with like so many people. Because all of my like senior design projects or like any projects that I'd worked in like high school or like college, there were always like 4 or 5 people. It was never kind of more than that. So I think I didn't really anticipate that it can sometimes be challenging working through like different departments and different groups and like getting input from so many different people to get to where you need to be, really. So I guess be prepared for that. You'll definitely learn on the way.
Yeah, and to add to what both Anish and Rasha said, one of the things that you wouldn't be prepared for is inter-team communication, because in a lot of projects you work with a lot of different teams. I mean, we as part of the FPGA team, we'd have to work with the ASIC, we have to work with RF, we got to work with board design, and just being able to be on the same page as everybody, it might be a little bit of a challenge at first, but once you grow into it a little bit more, there's nothing like it in terms of experience.
Awesome. Okay, so all the questions coming in are specific to you. So I guess we will just flip a little bit. So what do you look for in a candidate when hiring new graduates? And just for some examples on questions coming in, someone's LTE 5G, wireless, power electronics, machine learning application. Is there something specific that you guys are looking for? I know, Emanuel, you talked about different opportunities, and I encourage anyone asking this question to also look into signing up for the career fair next week with
yes, please. Yeah.
Emanuel. But is there just a brief overview, whether it be specific backgrounds for specific roles or personality traits, or what do you look for when you meet someone at a career fair?
I mean, certainly, really we look for talent that will bring fresh ideas. I mean, it helps to certainly have a background in kind of communication theory. That's not required. But really we just look for, technically sharp people. We look for, ideally, the creme de la creme, but fresh ideas, people who are technically sharp. It could be in digital design. It could be, like I said, in digital signal processing. But we can kind of find a place for, most disciplines, as long as it's within the realm, like I said, analog, RF, digital design, or VLSI, whether you've done stuff with, tools dealing with ASIC design and things like that. We can typically find a home for you, but it's just really just kind of falling in the realm of computer engineering or electrical engineering. But, basically come to our, participate in our career fair, sign up to talk to one of the HR or engineering reps, whether it's software engineering, because I know that a lot of students are like computer engineering. You can go either way. And the thing about Hughes is that if you're not sure, I have people that have worked for me that came in hardware engineering and have transferred to the software side. And we do allow that at Hughes. So meaning because we have so many different disciplines. So don't feel like that you're locked into one field once you join. You actually have the opportunity to move around. We actually have people that work in manufacturing that actually kind of transition to engineering if they, have the desire and the skill set, or to transition to the business group.
That's awesome. The flexibility, and you
Yes.
guys help them to figure out where they fit, not so much in terms of what they specialize in. You give them the opportunity. So that's
because a lot of times you just don't know until you work. You kind of get out of it. And that's another thing is that, a lot of times I think maybe Anish or Rohit may have touched on it, but you learn so many different things in school, but when you go to a company like Hughes, you realize how much you really don't know. It's a lot of stuff that you learn on the job, and a lot of things that's kind of technology specific to whatever company that you join. So if you have an open mind, what we look for, like I said earlier, is people who are kind of bringing fresh ideas. Someone said earlier that a lot of people here have been working here for like 20 years, 25 years. So we really look for people who maybe challenge what's been done in the past and kind of think of way to do things differently.
Just to add to that, I think one of the other things what we would really look for is if you can work in a team, right? Not everyone knows everything, but you should be comfortable to talk to the person and, work in a team and not kind of be reserved and, try to say that, oh no, this is what it is and be rigid, because we work so much, not just within a team, but also between teams, because it's a small facility. You'll have a software guy call you, a hardware guy call you, network engineer call you. So it's like, you got to be able to work with different people with different backgrounds.
Right. And to that point, we have what's called concurrent engineering here at Hughes. So, I interface with the International Business Group, the North American Business Group, manufacturing operations, like Anisha said, the software team, the quality assurance. So really there's a lot of different disciplines here that you get to interact with and learn from. So you don't just talk to 2 or 3 people in your group. You really kind of talk to and learn from a lot of different disciplines.
awesome. Anything else before Rohit or Rasha? You think they covered it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I want to cut you off in case you're waiting. So workplace culture, how would you all describe the culture at Hughes?
I'd say a lot of it is self-motivation. No one's going to tell you go do this or go do that. Even if there are projects that you want to do, you need to take up the lead and go ahead and do it. There is no set structure. You define your job. At least I can talk about my group, is that no one's micromanaging you. No one's going to look at every day and look at you and say, okay, what have you done? What have you done? you get the big picture, you try to work, everyone's trying to work towards a common goal. So I get a lot of it is just what you put in is what you get out of it.
But it's a diverse culture, kind of like Nisha said, you're not micromanaged. We have flexible work schedule, certainly very diverse workplace as far as, different cultures, different activities. We have, volleyball, or you have basketball, you have golf league.
The cricket league, don't forget.
You have cricket. There you go. But yeah, so yeah, we have a lot of activities that really kind of bond, because, I play in the company golf league and I meet people that I wouldn't normally interact with, certainly in the business group. And so you actually, it's a lot of new acquaintances that I've kind of gained, and it's a lot of fun. So those type of opportunities, and there's probably many other ones that we haven't even mentioned that's kind of available. So it's a nice workplace. Nice culture.
And I'll just chime in because we got a question, and if I'm reading this correctly, it might also fall into the culture. How are you able to choose projects that you are wanting to work on, or are they more assigned to you? If I'm reading this question wrong, please let me know, whoever submitted it. But I think it goes into the culture. Is there a lot of flexibility and things like that? Or are you assigned to a team and that's how it is?
Typically, when you are, say if you're hired by a particular manager that that liked you, they hired you to work in their group. And what you work on is kind of depends on where they are in the development cycle. But that doesn't mean that that you always have to do that. You can certainly move around. Even within hardware engineering, you could move to a different group. You may still report to the same line manager, but report to a different project manager. Or like I said earlier, you could, there's an opportunity to switch groups altogether and go from hardware to software. But where you start at doesn't necessarily dictate where you end up. There's plenty of opportunity. You can move around. It may take you a year to, you may have to finish up something before you can move, or wait for the opportunity to open up to go to another group. But yeah, certainly you have an opportunity to ask, can I work on this project? Whether it's granted or not, I'm not going to go on a record saying that you can do whatever you want to do. Right. But there are opportunities to move around and do different things at the company.
Awesome. Anything else about culture at Hughes, Rohit, Rasha, that you want to add? Or again, they just covered it.
They covered most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So let's see what else has come through. So I heard a few times networking, especially from you, Rasha, with the organizations that you were a part of when you were at NC State. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of networking, just go into a little bit deeper? This goes for everyone. And maybe any advice that you have about networking, whether it be joining these student organizations or any specific LinkedIn tips or things like that.
So I think one thing that, I think we touched on a little bit, but it's a very underrated tool. That's the EPAC that we have at NC State. And not for this position, but there were a lot of other companies that had reached out to me themselves through the EPAC portal. So I would say keep that updated, and make sure you're checking things there. And so I think the EPAC tool is something that, really, really important, and kind of helped with the whole internship and job search for me. I guess with networking, like I said before, go to everything. Sometimes on the surface, it may not look like, you might not know too much about the company, or you may not think it's a good fit. But then, once you go to that info session, or the social, or the pizza party, or whatever, you might, learn more than what you thought you knew. So I would definitely suggest going to everything whenever you get the time to. and having an open mind and yeah, the right fit. It takes a lot of patience. I know like the job search process is like, it can sometimes be like, hey, you know, I'm finding stuff, but it's not what I'm looking for. Is this, you know, the right fit for me? And then sometimes you're confused where you have like options and you're like, hey, I don't know what I have to pick, because typically when your first job out of college, you want to kind of stay there for at least a few years so you understand everything and you're able to contribute. So it can be hard making that choice, but yeah, I guess look at all perspectives before you do so. And yeah, talk to your track and professors. They can be really good resources.
Any other networking tips to give? Okay. I have two more questions, I believe. So we're getting down to the wire, but looking back as your time as a student, what is one piece of advice you would give yourself? And kind of to piggyback, if you were to do it all again, what would you do differently? It's tough. It's a tough question.
Yeah, I can start. I guess when I started NC State Masters, I was in a totally different field. I started with controls and robotics, and then it's midway is when I switched to VLSI and DSP and things like that. And the only reason I switched is after my first career fair is when I realized that, okay, there aren't any companies here. See, just a second, I think my automatic timer went off. Can you guys see me?
We can see you.
Okay, that's fine.
We can see you with your backgrounds.
I don't know, I guess this light just went off.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just saying that it's good to keep track of your passions and what you want to do, but also keep track of the opportunities out there, right? And what companies are looking for. You can take courses that you like, but also keep it in line with what's out there. So always having a lookout for, even if you're not immediately looking for full times, even if you're in your first year or your second year, just look at things that are hot topics right now. If you're in any field that you are, something that interests you. And I guess NC State has the rule of diversifying also, right? You got to pick different courses from different breadths. So that way is good. So you get to also learn different topics. So I guess one of the things I would have probably done is, before I picked my subjects, at least seen what's out there, because there's a lot of limitations with respect to jobs as well. So. And also, I guess, networking is the key. Just talk to people, which I think I should have done a bit more of, which I did not.
Yeah, I think Anish covered it all. But one thing that I kind of touched on the previous question, and that I want to stress, it maintain and establish a good relationship with your professors, because even outside of the classroom realm, right, they can give you really valuable career advice. And I was lucky that I kind of got that early on in my sophomore year, where one of my professors on my introductory circuit design classes suggested that when I'm picking my electives, like $300 and $400, she's like, if you're that time I wasn't kind of sure whether I wanted to do electrical or computer engineering. I didn't think I wanted to do both then. So she suggested that I pick electives that were over a breadth of topics, right? Just so that I would get that exposure. So that kind of really helped me. And that's what I would suggest to everyone. Talk to your professors and continue to maintain a relationship with them even after you're out of college.
I guess another thing is, if you ever get to talk to your seniors, right? If you have contacts who've just graduated, or you know people, former alumni, that's the best way for you to also know, because if you know people who've just gone through the journey and try to talk to them, it's always very helpful.
All right, we only have a few minutes left, but I don't want to cut Emmanuel and Rohit off if you have anything to add to that.
Great, Rohit.
Yeah, so I don't have too much to add apart. Too much to add. I think Anish and Rasha have given some great advice, because that's kind of what I would have told myself as well. Just be on the pulse of the job market as well as your interests. See how they align, and pick and choose your courses accordingly. NCSU has a lot of courses, and you may have your interests, but make sure that your interests line up with what you want to do post your degree. And yeah, network. And I mean, sometimes it's the most innocuous of things. I remember one time a company dropped by just for a pizza party for a networking event, and I know for a fact that 2 or 3 people ended up getting internships through that event because they were able to make connections with the recruiter that day. So never underestimate the power of networking.
Awesome. I love that answer, networking. Okay, last 2 questions. I promise we're going to try and get through it quick. Can you talk about opportunities for international students? So when you're meeting students at the career fair, can international students come and meet with you, Emmanuel? So
Yes.
return offers, all that.
Yeah. So yeah, Hughes. We sponsor. So certainly U.S. citizens, F1 visa. I know that, but certainly if you're certainly welcome to apply if you're a non-U.S. citizen.
Awesome, thank you. And then last question. So someone wrote in, they're curious about digital signal processing, but don't really know of a lot of resources and additional courses that he can kind of do in his spare time. So the question is, where do you all turn to keep yourself sharp?
Well, none of us on this panel works in our DSP group, but
well, I think it was just an example. So it's something he's interested in and wants to learn more about. So do you guys have that? And any recommendations of anything that you guys do to maybe keep updated on things?
I mean, certainly, you can attend, online courses, or, if you're, say, joining Hughes with a bachelor's degree, we certainly reimburse you. You can get into a master's degree in a local school, whether it's Maryland or Johns Hopkins, what have you. Like when I joined Hughes, long time ago, I had never done Verilog VHDL programming. So after working here a few years, I think an opportunity came up. That's back in like the DirecTV days when we used to build DirecTV set-top boxes. I wanted to do an Fpga design. I had never done that at NC State. So what did I do? I went to a bookstore. I bought a book on VHDL, high-level HDL design, I'm sorry, because we're a Verilog house. And I learned it. And Hughes paid for the book. And I learned real time and did an Fpga design that I submitted for a patent, and we didn't get the patent because I don't know if anybody have heard of TiVo, because that was the time that TiVo came out for digital record and playback. But long story short is that you just have to be motivated. And Hughes, we allow you to take courses at local schools, or you can, just do kind of be self-learning and try to get into a different field that you didn't graduate in. We'll support that.
Awesome. Anyone? Anish, did you have something to add? I see your mic going on and off.
I just want to say, the internet's your best friend. Anything you want to learn, there are like tons of videos, YouTube.
Yeah, but exactly nowadays YouTube, you can find anything on YouTube, man.
Yeah, you just need to find the right sources.
But certainly, Hughes, we support continuing education.
That's good. That's good. All right. Well, I want to thank you all. It's 1 o'clock, so being mindful of everyone's time. Thank you so much for coming on. Students as well. I know I can't see your faces or your boxes, but thank you for joining us today. And Emanuel and alumni, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. And again, Golden Opportunities Monday. Be sure to sign up for a slot with Emanuel. And I think all three of you are going to be there as well, right? Did I get that right?
Yep, we are. At
Perfect.
least I'm
going to be there. Yeah.
Awesome. And the Engineering Career Fair on Tuesday, Wednesday. So be sure to sign up. And thank you all again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you.
a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks,
Okay,
bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks so much. Have a nice day and a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.